Hello, everybody. This is out of character for the show, but we need to settle on the bench for just a second to talk about the sponsor of today's show, Knack. Do you carry around a lot in your backpack, like how LeBron James had to carry the Cleveland Cavaliers to 4 straight NBA Finals appearances? Does your messy and disorganized backpack make you want to pull a Bobby Knight and throw a chair across the room? Well, with Knack bags, you can look that frustration straight in the face and tell it, you're out of here!
Knack bags are a combination of your everyday backpack, a travel backpack, and a laptop bag. You have several pockets around the bag, plus a patent-pending hidden expandable carry-on bag that will help you keep everything you're carrying around organized. Pockets on pockets like Patrick Mahomes picks up passing yard after passing yard. Plus, the interior is as padded as a lineman, allowing you to keep all of your electronics safe and sound. The best part? You don't have to look like the student athlete that just came out of a 3-hour lecture class. No matter the need for your bag, Knack fits your lifestyle. Its look is sleek, organized, professional, and stylish, allowing you to look your best while you work your best.
And right now, if you head to knackbags.com for a limited time, use the promo code BENCH with your next order to get a free TSA-approved lock with purchase. Make sure to add the TSA lock to your cart with your Knack bag of choice and use the code BENCH at checkout to get it for free. Knack, the one-bag life.
This is Empty the Bench with Tom Albano.
Every baseball fan has more of a degree of heart to them and a love for the game than Rob Manfred himself.
Nick Morgeson.
And Roger Goodell does a terrible job of this. He does not have strict enough rules to prevent these issues from not happening again.
And Nick Federa.
Conflict of interest? What's that? I do not know what this word you say. I do not know what it means. Please explain it to me. Well, my brain is pea-sized and I have no critical reasoning.
Well,
please tell me.
Empty the Bench starts now.
I mean, you can make money. You just can't make money off the sport that you work in other than your salary, you ungrateful plebe.
well, hello, you ungrateful plebes.
Hello there. Hello, you ungrateful plebes. This is episode... What episode number are we on now?
135.
Episode 135 of Empty the Bench. I'm Nick Federa, along with my venerable co-host, Mr. Nick Morgeson. Unfortunately, Tom Albano could not be with us for a second straight week because he actually took offense to my ungrateful plebe episode, my remark in the past episode, and he's currently, on foot on his way to Long Island to beat the crap out of me. So, yeah, I'll let you know how that goes.
Just be careful. And by the way, this episode is presented by Knack as well. Yes, I remembered my bag this time. If you're looking for a great bag, knackbags.com. Make sure you put in the code BENCH, BENCH, and get a TSA-approved lock, $15 value, absolutely free.
And why wouldn't you want a beautiful Knack bag? It's beautiful. It's black. It's combat ready. Although you really shouldn't use it for combat. You should use it to put things in. That's what you need. That's what you need. Anything you need. Hammers, cinder blocks, food, water, anything.
Just add atmosphere and you have a SpongeBob joke.
Exactly.
And by the way, maybe Rob Manfred can use this for the skeletons he needs to put in his closet.
Exactly, because what kind of life is it?
It's a one-bag life.
Exactly.
All right, so we got a lot to get to in this episode 135. And make sure you follow us on social media at ETB Sports across all platforms, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram as well, if you want to get aboard along with this conversation. Follow him at Nick Writes Words. I'm at N Morgeson Radio. All right, so a lot to get to, and we added a late story because college football had to rear its ugly head.
Because it always does.
And actually, if you go back to episode 134, Nick and I had an epic argument for the ages. But I wouldn't say it was a fight argument.
It was more of a verbal sparring match. But if you want to follow us on social media, you can follow us on Twitter at ETB Network. You can follow us on Instagram at instagram.com/emptythebench. You can also follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/emptythebench.
Yeah, so, all right, let's get started. This story kind of broke over the last couple of days. Nick Saban told business leaders in the state, which I didn't know that was a thing, and college sports. I thought that was only a professional thing. That Texas A&M, quote, bought every player with name, image, and likeness deals.
So when he says business leaders in the state, does he mean Alabama or did he actually go to Texas?
I think he's Alabama.
Yeah, because I'd hate to think he went to Texas and just took a dump all over Texas A&M.
You mean
because that's what this is. That's Nick Saban going up to you and saying, you know something, you ain't shit.
Yeah, that sounds like oh my god, Bill Belichick with the Patriots.
Well, there's a difference between taking a dump on their front lawn and burying your body on his front lawn.
I mean,
you can't tell me there are not bodies buried at Foxborough.
Tom Brady included.
Well, that's just his personality.
Well, yeah. Well, he's never had personality, but I mean that's why he's going to Fox, right? Because he has no personality.
But still, what Saban is, what he was saying here, what point was he trying to make?
He's talking about the NIL debate, which we had last week. So
yes.
So the NIL debate is a big one because now you're seeing college freshmen, college sophomores. And I don't know if you saw this, Nick, the other day. 2 high school women's soccer players got an NIL endorsement deal.
So, and
my point is...
high school, okay, that's a little crazy. That's a little crazy. I'll give them that.
Like, you're getting an endorsement deal? You're not even out of high school yet?
What are you, LeBron James? But still, I mean... Look, I know this is going to be part 2 of the shouting match that the two of us got into last week. If you haven't checked out that episode, I really recommend that you do.
It was epic.
That argument was one for the ages. But again, this was bound to happen once you started paying players. But you know what? If you want to get money out of the game, then why is Nick Saban being paid so much?
Well, first of all, Nick Saban...
So he can get paid, but the kids can't?
Wait a second.
Like I said, like I told you last week, there's a power imbalance here.
Yeah, but wait a second. What Nick Saban does, what Jimbo Fisher does, what any other college coach does, they get paid to do a job. The kids, and Johnny Montalbano, who joined us last week, said it the same way. What are the kids there for first? Let me rephrase that. What should they be there for first?
Well, what are they actually there for, or what are they there for on paper?
No, what should they be there
technically
for?
To get an education, but we all know that's not the case. We all know that if you're a good enough athlete, the college does not give a shit if you graduate with a degree or not.
Yeah, but let me ask you a question.
You're making them millions of dollars in revenue by you stepping on a football field. They're not going to let classes get in the way. You know that.
Well, be careful with that because there are rules in the educational system. You still have to.
There are rules, but there are colleges big enough that they don't have to follow them.
True. I mean,
what are you not? Are you naive?
No, I'm not naive. My point is, they do. It came out in allegations, I think, in Syracuse years ago that they had these stupid fake classes for athletes,
exactly,
so that they could get grades to be passed. I'm not denying that. First of all, that's dumb. One, that it got out, and 2, you're dumb enough to give athletes a class that's dumbing them down in the process.
Well, but I don't think the NCAA would is enforcing this rule because they're not going to bite the hand that feeds them. But they quite literally do feed them.
Yeah, but here's the problem, okay? So Nick Saban took a shot at the national champion, Texas A&M Aggies.
The problem is, well, first of all, did Jimbo Fisher say anything?
Yes. So Fisher didn't hold back after that statement. So I don't know if I read the whole statement, but basically he said that Texas A&M assembled the top recruiting class in the country because it, quote, bought every player, which I have up on the banner, with name, image, and likeness deals, decreeing the influence of money in recruiting. Saban said NIL was being used unfairly. At Alabama, he said of its #2 ranked class, quote, we didn't buy one player, all right? Question mark. First of all, I don't believe that for a second.
Yeah, if I make paraphrase Shakespeare, he doth protest too much, methinks.
First of all, every top college, I'm not going to say every college, because not every college has the money to spend on athletes.
But the ones that do, you bet they are playing that instrument until their fingers fall off.
I'll tell you right now, Duke, USC, Alabama, Michigan, Florida, some of the New York colleges,
Miami.
So if Nick Saban is trying to fool us and say that they don't pay for anybody,
yes, we were born at night. It just wasn't last night. That's exactly it.
Now don't get me wrong, Alabama was nothing before Nick Saban got there, so I give him credit on that front. But for him to
I'm
play,
not even sure that Alabama existed before Nick
no, but Nick Saban is playing the "woe is me" card.
First of all, Nick Saban's got jack shit to complain about.
Doesn't he have like seven? Wait a minute. Does he have like 7 national titles?
Yes, 7 national champions. He's gone to, I think, what? He's gone to, I think, like 12.
He's been to the Final Four almost every year he's been there.
He's been in the playoffs, and Alabama is a perennial contender. They're a perennial bowl game favorite.
It was a shock. Wait a minute. It would be a shock if Alabama wasn't playing on New Year's.
Yeah, exactly. It would be a shock, and it's a shock when they're not in the national championship game.
Right, and that's my point.
Yeah.
So let's see. Fisher didn't hold back, calling Saban a narcissist and saying of him, "quote Some people think they're God." Saban's offensive coordinator at LSU he was Saban's offensive coordinator at LSU. So there's a little bit of history here.
There's beef there.
Fisher practically laughed off his former boss's assertion that there has always been parity, your favorite word, in college football, and NIL threatens to undermine that.
Not parody like airplane is parity. T-Y.
Right. So and also he went on to say, Jimbo Fisher said, quote, "He's the greatest ever, huh? ? When you've got all the advantages, it's easy." So I need my I haven't used this in a long time.
Shots fired! Shots fired!
And yes, and you see what I'm doing here? You know what this is?
What?
It's the world's smallest violin. Can you hear it?
Oh, good. Now we're pulling SpongeBob references out. I'm liking this already. I like where this
You should get that sound effect and use it as a drop.
I should. But you know what? Wah for Nick Saban. Wah.
Exactly. It's like what the hell are you complaining about? You've got the equivalent of a solid gold house, and you're complaining that you don't have a rocket car?
So wait a minute. So because he's the number 2 ranked class behind Texas A&M,
he believes that gives him the permission to act like a number 2.
What is that?
To act like number 2, yes.
But what is that show? We're number 1. We're number 1. Like that's what he thinks he is.
I mean, for most of the time he's backed it up. But you know what? Sometimes you can just be abysmal winner. You've heard of sore losers. There are sore winners.
I mean, so let's see. It goes on to say, if coaches weren't talking about Saban's comments before they were, once Fisher's fiery news conference was over, an SEC assistant said his phone was blowing up afterward. Out on the road recruiting, it was all the high school coach he was with at the time wanted to talk about. Gee, I wonder why.
Spill the tea, Jimbo. And I'm not really that big a fan of Jimbo Fisher either. But you know what? If he's got something to say, I'm all ears.
First of all, I'm gonna take the opposite side of Nick Saban every single time, just because Nick Saban is a head case, like egotistical head case.
His ego is literally the size of Mobile.
Don't get good one. But I was gonna say that, you know what, Nick Saban, you win almost every fucking year you're on the field. So because you came in second place in the ranking for the class, you're going to complain?
Again, I guess it's just open season for white men that have the world on a string, complaining that life isn't fair sometimes. Oh God!
And I think they're playing opening week, if I'm not mistaken. I think Alabama and Texas A&M are playing.
Oh, that's going to be a fun one.
So
meanwhile, they're looking at each other through binoculars, going, "Look at that son of a bitch watching me."
so what is that weird saying? Like you didn't need momentum for a game to be good.
Well, you didn't need an excuse, and
You didn't need, now you
didn't need an excuse, and now you got one.
now you have an added tension to this argument.
Motivation, baby, motivation. It's hard to come by, but now you got it.
I'm just tired because it's all about what?
The money.
I mean,
So, moving on.
all right. So we'll move on from money to, I guess, weapons. Rajon Rondo allegedly threatens longtime girlfriend with gun. And I hate to say this, and you were right in the promo, Nick, because I totally forgot about that until you brought it up. Does this actually remind you of Gilbert Arenas and Javaris Crittenton with the Washington Wizards when Gilbert was actually a star in the NBA?
Yeah, context is necessary. So a couple of years back, I think it was, God, it must have been like almost like 10 years ago, wasn't it?
Something like that, yeah.
Gilbert Arenas and Javaris Crittenton drew weapons on each other in the locking.
They were gambling. They were gambling.
They were gambling, and there was a dispute about money, and they decided to play like it was a Sergio Leone Western and draw on each other.
Oh, I was gonna say, what's the name of that show that ended with the scene going to black? I was thinking of that show.
What, you mean the Sopranos?
I was thinking Sopranos. Like,
no, but they're facing off at each other. It's like a Mexican standoff.
Well, that too.
At the end of Reservoir Dogs.
But like, it got really bad. Like, I was like, "Whoa!" Like
this, I think, is really worse though, because he's threatening someone. He's threatening his own girlfriend. I mean, come on.
Apparently, I think it was a longtime girlfriend like we had here, who basically said she was afraid for her life and her kids. And this is not the first time we've heard bad things about Rajon Rondo before.
No, unfortunately, this is not the first time that's happened. But Mr. NBA, I mean, so I'm not really up on Rajon. He's not playing anymore, right?
No, he's in the league.
No, he's so he is still playing.
Well, I don't know if he's going to be playing anymore.
Well, yeah. So, which leads me to my next question, Mr. NBA. Now, Adam Silver has to put on his discipline pants.
Well, I'll tell you right now, Gilbert Arenas and Javaris Crittenton ended up in jail just because he was a bad guy. Like, he did a lot of seedy things behind the scenes.
But that's apples and oranges, though.
No, it's not, because they both pulled guns
I mean, this situation.
Oh, but yes.
Yeah, this situation is different from what happened with Gilbert Arenas.
Yeah, that was more of a threat than an actual thing. But this, on the other hand, he's got to be suspended like at least 40 to 50 games. At least. We're talking about close to a season.
I mean, is it going to be a sort of thing where you go, we're going to conduct an investigation.
Oh, yeah, of course. But every league does an investigation. I mean,
and I don't mean, and by doing that, by the way, I don't mean to make light of the situation, because it's absolutely a very serious situation.
Well, you're missing one part of this. So he pulled a gun on his, well, they're calling it baby mom, that it's really longtime girlfriend.
Longtime girlfriend, mother of his children.
And threatened to kill her in front of her kids.
Which, ladies and gentlemen, is not good.
Here's the post that I quote tweeted. So the quote was, this is from the girlfriend. We don't know her name. Quote, I'm extremely fearful for my safety and for the safety of my children. Rajon has a history of volatile, now listen to this, volatile, erratic, explosive behavior. He is verbally, emotionally, and financially abusive. He physically hits our son and calls him names like the P word and accuses him of acting like a bitch. Now, wait.
Okay, so apparently this guy's a real piece of work.
It's not over. Rajon verbally assaults our daughter as well. He calls her names like T word, which I really don't want to say.
Oh, God.
Bitch and dickhead. Rajon has made several threats on my life, saying at various times he will shoot me or shoot my car.
Okay, now I think it's time for the NBA to get this woman a restraining order, please.
Let me just say, end
Please help
quote.
this woman out, because apparently this is going to become a very serious problem, and one or more people might end up dead if you don't do something.
Well, here's the problem. We talk about this in the NFL all the time with domestic violence. We're going to talk about that actually in a little bit with Deshaun Watson. But the NBA is going to come down harder on Rajon Rondo than the NFL is going to come down on Deshaun Watson. We know
better. It better, because this. I mean, just hearing that story. I mean, it's worse than I thought.
I tweeted this out a couple days ago. I quote tweeted on top of it. I said, if Rajon Rondo pulled gun on longtime girlfriend, the NBA needs to drop the hammer on him with a large suspension, no questions asked.
Literally no questions asked. And I'd probably suspend. I wouldn't be surprised if you're suspended for the entire season.
Now, here's the problem. And the NFL makes this excuse too, and I don't understand why. Depending on if there's charges, that's how they're going to determine what the suspension or punishment
will be. Fucking break.
Well, what do you think the whole Deshaun Watson case is? I mean,
you should suspend them if there's charges or not.
I'm with you. I totally agree. But according to the standards of all the players' associations across sports, they're going to go after you.
Yeah, I understand that. I'm not blaming you. I'm just saying it's bullshit.
No. I'm saying that the players' associations are going to fight back, especially if there's no charges. But see, what I don't get is we haven't heard anything from the woman, whether she's going to file charges or anything. Why didn't she file charges for death threats?
These things could be really weird, because again, when you're in an abusive relationship, maybe she's kind of convinced her. Of course, I'm playing armchair psychologist here, but maybe she's convinced him that he can change, or he's threatening her. Like if you press charges against me, I'll do this, this, and this.
Well, what is that weird term called where you're in a tough relationship, but you're afraid to get away from somebody? There's a name for it. I forgot what it's called. Like,
kind of trapped.
No. But I'm saying,
no, I know what you mean. It's just
like where you think that things are going to change, even though you know they're never going to change. There's almost like a medical.
I know that there's not gaslighting, but
basically you think that every time something bad happens, you think that it'll always get better. Essentially,
yeah, and look, I mean, this is something that we already live in a society that really doesn't give a shit about women.
No, of course not.
I mean, look at what happened. Look at what happened with the show. We're gonna get to that, but this is already a society that doesn't really, probably would rather forget that the girlfriend even came forward with this stuff than actually, or at least punish Rajon Rondo and just get it over with, rather than actually seriously take a look at themselves and actually identify the source of the problem and try to change.
I need to update one part of the story because I just found something. So the name of the woman is Ashley Batchelor. That's her name. She's 36 years old. Former partner, it says here. And mother,
they had already broken up.
And she filed for an emergency protective order in Louisville, requesting protection for her son, and daughter. And the story she tells about the alleged incident is scarier beyond belief. So there's something not right here. Like, and Bachelor. Oh, I didn't even read this. Bachelor says Rajon was playing video games with his son on May 11th when Ashley asked the boy to separate laundry. Bachelor says Rajon became enraged and ripped the game console out of the wall in front of the kid.
I mean, this guy really seems like an abusive dickweed. So you know what? You really need to.
I think he's got anger management problems.
You really need to get some kind of restraining order here. I mean, Jesus, you really need to protect this woman and her kids.
I mean, it sounds like he's got anger management issues, to be quite honest, and that's at
the very least.
That's the least of the problems. But the weird part is the NBA. If you look at the NBA, the domestic violence issues are not as bad as the NFL. You know why? Because Adam Silver doesn't take shit from people.
I mean, we'll see. We'll see. We will see what happens.
I mean, if you really want me to be over the top on this, he should be suspended next year. And I'm serious.
No, you're right. It's just, I really hope that he has the balls to do what's right.
First of all, even if he said, I'm going to suspend him for the year, the Players Association is going to fight it, as sick as that is. They're going to fight it.
Well, the Players Association is not going to say, "Oh, well, you're on your own." They're not going to cut. They're not going to cut bait. That's not what they're for.
I mean, unless you're Trevor Bauer and you completely sue Major League Baseball.
Yeah, unless you bite the hand that feeds you.
So I don't see Rajon Rondo doing that, but I just don't understand these athletes. And he's not a spring chicken by any means. He's a veteran NBA player. He won a title with the Celtics when they were the big three and all of them were there. But I don't know. I don't know. It's just, we're seeing this not just in the NBA. We're seeing it in the NFL. We're seeing it in the NHL. We're seeing it in Major League Baseball even. I don't get it. Am I missing something with these athletes?
No, you're not.
I mean, is it that difficult to be a professional athlete? And I don't mean from a physicality standpoint.
It's just, well, it's just a bad situation because apparently this guy's just got issues, real issues.
Well, he's had aggression issues in the NBA since the time he's entered the NBA. But
which, again, and to say that again, I'm playing armchair psychologist, but did you really think that wasn't going to affect things in your personal life?
No. There's no way to put this lightly because, again, we don't tolerate domestic violence or hitting or fighting with anybody. I don't care if you're a professional athlete or a homeless person on the street. I could care less. Domestic violence is domestic violence, no matter how you slice it.
Yep. You're right. Moving on.
From one NBA story to another weird NBA story, and actually this one involves Adam Silver as well. The NBA and WNBA are working to release Brittney Griner from Russia. Now, for most people who haven't been following this story, Brittney Griner went to Russia. Now, you have to remember, even the best of the best WNBA athletes don't make enough money in support of what they could be making. So she went over to Russia. She plays on one of the teams in the Russian league. And I don't care if you're famous or not. How stupid can you be originally to carry hashish in your luggage?
I mean, yeah, that really does seem like a mistake. But, if I was the WNBA, I really would be thinking about maybe we really need to pay these people more so they don't have to take off-season jobs in foreign countries, especially not in Russia.
It's not random jobs. They're going to play basketball in other countries.
Yeah, exactly. Going so you don't have to go play, basketball in other countries just to make ends meet. So, ladies and gentlemen, now we have been introduced into our newest political football, and that's Brittney Griner. So she is now becoming a political prop for Russia, who's dealing with the war in Ukraine. And I know we promised to keep politics out of this, but
this unfortunately kind of took us there.
This unfortunately kind of took us in that direction.
Now, there's another part of this too, which is that Russia wants one of their political prisoners, but not political. They want one of their prisoners back that the U.S. has.
Yeah, one of their citizens. So, honestly, I really don't think the government's doing everything it can to try and get her back, because I would rather not see her languish in a Russian jail for the next couple of years.
No, I get that, but at the same time, she kind of did this to herself a little bit.
You can't really, I mean,
why are you carrying drugs into a foreign country?
I mean, she could have forgotten that it was there.
Just so you know, And I've
Or
seen
might have even been, or it could have even been planted there.
I doubt it. I've heard that she's done marijuana or stuff before, but
So what? Who cares?
my point is, you're going into
She shouldn't be in jail for it.
I'm not. Well, I don't. I think they're just housing her. I don't think she's in jail, but they're just.
There's really no way. There's no way to know.
Is it? But would you say this is being held political prisoner or no?
I mean, yes, it's kind of like a political prisoner kind of thing.
But the thing is, there's rules. First of all, the one country I think of that's got really strict laws about drugs is Singapore. Do you know? I looked this up because I was curious because I was looking some stuff up for this story. Do you want to know what the rules are for trafficking in Singapore are?
You could beat with a cane or
no, death.
Oh,
death. My point is, Singapore is the safest country in the world because they don't take shit. That's my point.
I mean, but there's anti-drug laws, and then there's that.
They can get away with it because, again, they're different laws than we are here in the U.S.
But again, they're anti. That doesn't make it right.
I'm not saying it's right, but it's the safest country in the world because people are not going to test them.
Yeah, because you might die if you step out of line. No shit.
So my point is that Russia, Singapore, or any country you want to name is going to have different rules than we have in the U.S.
No, you're right. You're right. It's just again, it's just a matter of.
I'm not saying
it's just a matter of she went to Russia at the exact wrong time.
Well, yeah, I didn't get that either. Why would you go to Russia? I know you have to make a living. First of all, they're complaining about not making enough money. They're making more than you and I are.
Yeah, but still, I mean, they should be making enough where you don't have to play basketball in the off season.
Okay, but they're making, if I had to take a guess, 80, 85, maybe a year, which is more
compared to the NBA. I would say they really should be getting paid equally.
No, wait a minute. I wasn't comparing it to the NBA. The NBA is making way more than any other WNBA athlete. Oh, I was wrong. Brittany Griner is making way more than that. Brittany Griner is making $228,000. So,
which again, compared to her male counterparts, is not much.
All right, forget that for a second. I'm not even talking about that. Forget that issue for a second.
She's one of the higher end, the higher paid athletes.
No, she is the higher end, not just on the higher end. She is the higher end. That's probably one of the highest salaries, period, in the NBA. Now, WNBA, excuse me. That's a lot of money. Even for us, that's a lot of money. Okay.
You still have to. I mean, you don't know what she's paying for. You don't know what her life is.
No, I'm not disagreeing with you, but she shouldn't have carried the drugs into Russia, knowing that there could be massive consequences.
Yeah, that was a mistake, but you don't really expect to be thrown into a Russian gulag because of it.
Yes, but what did I say before? The laws are different in Russia than they are here. You're walking into Pandora's box, walking into another country. Why would you do that knowing the rules are different? Here in the U.S., if you get caught with drugs, you might get a slap on the wrist. Might. Or maybe you go to...
Or if you're not white, they'll throw your ass in jail. But that's neither here nor there.
Yeah, but my point is you would get out at some point. In Russia, it's different. The laws and the regulations are different. So, don't get me wrong. She should come back. They should not be holding her for 3 months. I'm with you on all this. And how important is it that the NBA and Adam Silver are getting involved? That tells you how big of an issue it is.
And I really hope he can help. That's what I'm saying.
The sad part is that if she gets out because the NBA got involved, what does that tell you?
That gives Adam Silver bragging rights.
No.
That means that the NBA is a more powerful political entity than the U.S. State Department.
And also NBA had its issues with China. ironically, with all the and also remember years ago Michael Jordan. What was it? The shoes statement that he made.
Yeah. Republicans buy sneakers too.
Which was the dumbest thing he ever said, even though it didn't really affect his business.
Oh God.
What is he, like $1 billion brand on the Jordan brand alone? Or
Yep.
something? Which is insane. But here's the thing. Long story short, Brittney Griner should not be held for 3 months. That's ridiculous.
Agreed.
You have to figure it out. But we all know when you're under the communist system, it's different from ours.
I mean, Russia's not communist.
Well, technically.
I mean, they're not communist, literally.
Then what are they?
They're capitalists, just like us.
I'm just saying their rules are very different from ours.
Yeah, their rules still are very different, but again, it's got nothing to do with what you identify as, and everything to do with what it actually is.
Again, I hope she comes back safe and nothing happens to her, but she's got to take some blame for this too.
Let's get it back first before we hop on the blame train.
No. I'm saying I hope she comes back safe. She deserves to be where she was, and maybe she'll learn not to carry that stuff in her suitcase. Especially, think about this for a second. With all the issues we've had going on around the world, airport security is checking more than ever for stuff.
Again, but it's still not fair. It's still not fair that she was thrown in prison. I mean, I'm
agreeing.
To blame her.
I'm agreeing with you that she shouldn't have been thrown in jail for 3 months. But we all make our own decisions in life.
Like I said, we'll agree. We'll agree to. We're going around in circles here. So moving on.
Well, speaking of drug issues, Matt Harvey. Why don't we stick on the drug gravy train while we're at it?
So we did speak about this a little bit earlier in the week. Where actually in today's episode.
Yeah.
Well, actually, yeah, it was I'm forgetting what day it is. It actually is. A couple days ago with Beyond the Bench. Yeah. So what we can say about this is
we can talk sports.
I'll quickly reiterate my points. Matt Harvey did the right thing by naming names, because again, this is really a problem that you really need to fix before it kills another player. And I'm surprised that he got 60 games. Especially considering what Rob Manfred considers punishment.
I think that's the minimum number, though, now, isn't it?
Yeah, that is the minimum.
So he actually, believe it or not, got off easy.
Yes, he did.
So I think the way the situation goes is, so he bought from the same drug dealer as Tyler Skaggs. For most people who don't know the story, Tyler Skaggs was an Angels pitcher, was found in his hotel room.
He OD'd on a combination of, I think, fentanyl and coke, or it
was a mix.
Fentanyl and something else.
It was a mix of fentanyl with something. I don't know what. But fentanyl was the major. That's what kills most people, fentanyl. Especially because it's dangerous mixed with a bunch of shit, which is what he did.
Which again, ladies and gentlemen, this is more prevalent. I'm willing to bet this is a more prevalent issue than we are being led to believe. Because if you really think that Tyler Skaggs is the only major league player or even baseball player in this country that has a problem with fentanyl, no. I mean, you're dreaming. You're living in a dream world, because I mean, the only thing that I can hope for is maybe his example will not scare people straight, but inspire people to, it's like, maybe I should straighten my shit out.
Right. I don't know. This is a weird issue. We've talked about this before from the book. Do you remember? We talked about the Balco book. We talked about the Kirk Radomski book, the Mets clubhouse attendant, who basically was delivering drug orders to everybody around Major League Baseball before the PED scandal became a thing, before 2003 came along. When we found out
they've got a drug problem, the performance enhancing and otherwise.
Do you remember the bowl of what's it called in the clubhouse? What did they say it was? It was like candy.
Yeah, the bowl of uppers, I think. No, not uppers.
Human growth hormone. No.
Yeah.
HGH.
Wait, I don't think that's a pill. I think it's an injection.
what was the one that they were saying was like candy? I can't remember. It was a PED of some sort. And basically they would take them out of a bowl like candy. This was before 2003, before they had the rules, before the Mitchell report, before all this stuff happened. So the league has a problem because we're seeing people getting suspended for PEDs. I think a Brewers pitcher got suspended 80 games also, if I'm not mistaken.
Which again, this is an issue that we really need to that the MLB really needs to crack down a little bit harder on. And I don't mean in terms of punitive. I mean, you need to be able to offer, services for people to get clean if they need to. I mean, because if you're constantly threatening them with a hammer, they're not going to get clean.
Well, I mean, you have to discipline in some aspects. I'm not saying
discipline in some aspects, but I think that helping people break an addiction, and it's pretty obvious that what happened to Tyler Skaggs was an addiction.
Well, I think there was a lot more going on that we didn't know about that whole situation either. The Tyler Skaggs situation, he was buying basically behind the scenes, behind closed doors, and eventually it caught up with him and it killed him. In an unfortunate circumstance.
It is an unfortunate.
No one knew, though. That's the sick part. Remember, they went through a whole investigation. Remember when we covered this story that eventually the guy came out and admitted to it after all that. And who else was buying that we were talking about? Well, Matt Harvey was too. And this was
but that's the other thing. If he can clean himself up, and if he's not already, I mean, he deserves another shot in the league.
But how are the drugs getting past all the major league officials? Like, how are they?
Well, if you know where the cracks are, and apparently there are cracks. If you know where the cracks are, you can exploit them.
I mean, I'm so tired of this. And yes, I'm going to go to this right now. Good old Rob Manfred, because Rob Manfred could control this issue. There's one way to control this issue, okay?
He just chooses not to.
No, I'm going to give you the very punishable, you don't come back to Major League Baseball punishment if you get caught.
Like I told you a couple of days ago, I wouldn't have thrown the book at him because he did do the right thing. But because he admitted to doing drugs, technically that's a violation. So you got to take your lumps.
How do you only give him the minimum suspension though? When he was sitting on all this information, remember I said to you, Nick, on Beyond the Bench the other day. Wait, do you remember what I said, that he was basically sitting on evidence?
Yeah, but if it comes out that he knew and deliberately did nothing, then that's a different story.
Well, let me ask you a question. So let's say the opposite of the other cases we were talking about. If he gets charged after the fact with knowing the evidence or knowing the situation and not saying anything, should he get more punishment?
Then he gets charged criminally because that's a felony.
No, but I'm saying, should he get more punishment from Major League Baseball? But are they going to? But is the Players Association going to say, "Well, you already ruled on this; you can't give him more"?
They could, but you at least have to try. If if that was the case, we're speaking in hypotheticals here.
The one thing what I'll say is he's not going to play for the rest of the year, regardless. He's not going to play.
I don't think so. No.
You think someone's going to touch him now with all that?
No, probably not. To be honest with you, no.
Matt Harvey was an abomination anyway. His career was in the tanker. By the time he
was slowly coming back, though.
He did not pitch well with the Angels after leaving the Mets.
No, but he pitched okay with the Orioles. So,
but he wanted to be in Major League Baseball for the partying. He didn't want to be there to win.
When you're young, dumb, and athletic, and you have too much money, you start to believe your own press. So
you know what the biggest mistake was? Him starting his career in New York.
Some people just aren't equipped to handle it.
I mean, you remember the bloody nose?
Yeah, because it turns out he was doing so much coke.
And do you remember like the supermodels he was dating and the parties?
Yeah, again, I know it's just
Matt Harvey's name is soiled in the name that is Major League Baseball. It is. It is.
Well, considering the real bastards that have played for the that have put on cleats and played baseball over the last 100-something years, he's probably one of the least harmful, which is saying something.
But I mean, like, I would throw the book at him if he gets charged, though. Like after the fact, like I would
if he gets charged, if.
But this is a tough one. And because this is directly attached to this Tyler Skaggs case, we spent a good amount of time breaking down that investigation and that evidence.
Yeah,
I mean, so I get it. I know what you're saying, that Matt Harvey did the right thing, but unfortunately, sometimes doing the right thing is not always the be all end all in the situation. All right. Speaking of weird and horrible situations, let's talk about the Yankees, and not in a positive way. I know that's a shocker. We're not talking positive about the Yankees. So the Yankees cut one of their top prospects. I think he was a third baseman, Jake Sanford.
He was a third-round outfielder, Jake Sanford.
Oh, outfielder. Okay,
actually, if you read the scouting report, he was compared to somebody like Brett Gardner. So he's your. So he could hit. So apparently, it was a good story. But unfortunately, so I did a minute on this a couple of days ago, but so he has been cut from the team for reportedly stealing equipment, gloves, balls, bats, helmets, hats, things like that
from his teammates,
out of his teammates' lockers, and then people on Twitter accused him of he promised me autographed stuff. I paid him for it, and then I never got it.
Defrauding. Yeah.
So the fans are saying, he defrauded me.
I mean, first of all, I don't know if you're gonna laugh or be shocked. I'll tell you in a second. Do you want to know how much his contract was?
I don't know how much his contract was.
Reportedly, it was $595,000.
Well, for a third-round draft pick, that's actually pretty good.
So why are you stealing your teammates' equipment and putting it up on eBay?
Like I said in the minute, I'll reiterate my point here. I understand the impulse, because minor league baseball players are paid a pittance.
You and I agree on that point, that minor league make no money.
And even though the CBA did improve some of these things, guaranteeing housing and things like that, but there's still a quite a noticeable gap between where they are right now and where they should be. Comparing when you actually look at the amount of work that they put in.
But let me ask you something. Who gives a shit about housing? That's not making their money any higher.
But exactly. If anything, they're not earning more money. Oh, so you got a big empty house. But
who cares?
You don't even have a big house. It's more like a studio apartment.
So what? Some of these guys are making $20,000 to $30,000 a year,
which is less than.
It's less than minimum wage.
Yeah, that's minimum wage.
It's not even minimum wage.
You're right. Actually, it's not even minimum wage.
These guys.
I understand the impulse to have to, find other ways to supplement the old income here. But
let's be clear about one thing. We understand the impulse of having to hustle, not to steal.
Yes.
So
hustling is one thing, stealing is another.
And by the way, how much of an asshole do you have? How much of an asshole do you have to be to promise
your own teammates?
No, I wasn't even going to say that. How much of that too? But how much of an asshole do you have to be to promise autographs to people? First of all, you shouldn't be charging fans unless they're going to a store or a shop.
Yeah.
To buy.
And then apparently it's okay for you to charge the shit out of them.
I don't know what he charged. I'm still trying to find that information. But the Yankees did the right thing.
The Yankees did do the right thing. He already signed with an independent league team. So I guess there aren't any going to be any punitive measures from minor league baseball yet. As of this recording, there are not. But so like I said, I'll reiterate my point. It's a dick move, but I understand the impulse.
Yeah, but here's the exact number. So in 2019, he signed with the Yankees for $597,500. That's a lot of money.
It is a lot of money, but
For a prospect, that's a lot of money.
You'd be surprised how quick that goes, especially with inflation and everything.
Yes, but Nick, I thought originally before I saw that number that like he was making $20,000-$30,000 a year.
And there are a lot of major leaguers that are. There are a lot of minor leaguers that are, I should say.
Right, but I'm just saying is I thought like he was dirt broke. And that, like, he was doing it because he had no money. We've seen this with homeless people all the time. Unfortunately, they go into stores, they steal shit because they're trying to make money to get their next meal. But
that's apples and oranges here.
My point is, he's not broke.
No, he wasn't broke, and I mean, he hasn't said anything. So, again.
I can't believe he signed with another team already.
That must have been a very short. Okay, so you might have heard something from the Yankees about me stealing equipment. I just want you to know that that's a dirty, filthy lie.
Oh, fuck you, NJ.com. I can't even read the story. It's behind a fucking paywall. Because I want to give credit to Brandon Cuddy, the one who broke it.
Yeah, Brandon Cuddy broke the story. It's a good job, actually.
It was a good job, and all I have is the Twitter post. I can't read the fucking story. I can only read the first paragraph because that's how they get you.
Yeah, but again, this is what.
First of all, I want to know how much he was selling that stuff on eBay for.
I don't want to know.
No, but I'm saying these are no names. Who cares?
On the off chance that he becomes famous. And you see him on the opening day lineup in a couple of years for the Yankees, you would have thought, "Hey, I got a signed baseball from that guy when he was busting his ass in the minor leagues."
Who cares?
If you got a signed a bat or a signed autograph from Aaron Judge when he was in Double-A, and you sold that now, you get quite a bit for it.
Wait a minute, this is not the first time this has happened in the Yankee organization.
With him specifically, or with
another person? Ruben Rivera, another prospect?
Oh. Does that name ring a bell?
Apparently, he allegedly stole from his teammates also.
Oh, God.
It makes no sense. I don't get it.
It makes no sense. But, again, like I said, I understand the impulse, but don't steal from your teammates. I mean, come on.
Wait, additionally, a source said Sanford, who played college baseball at Western Kentucky, also accepted money from prospective buyers for the equipment and then failed to deliver the product.
Yeah, that's what I said.
The Yankees declined to comment on the situation. See, that irritates me. Okay? You have a situation on your hand, own up to it. That's taking the easy way out. We don't know what happened. Sorry.
Yep, he's not a member of the organization. What can you do?
This is interesting also. I just realized it says the issues, another source said, could be related to gambling debt.
Ah, yes. Fantastic.
So I guess we're now in the proverbial sandbox of gambling all over again. Use discount code Ridley at checkout for DraftKings.
Use discount code Sanford and you will not get your money back. Ladies and gentlemen, moving on.
All right. Well, we'll stay in the baseball realm since we're having a little fun. The Reds. So the Reds got very creative in losing games this year.
So doing a bit of Google foo, we can see, ladies and gentlemen, that the current record of the Cincinnati Reds is 11-26.
Wait, they actually got over the double-digit mark?
Yes, they started out 3-22. So they're on a bit of a hot streak lately, but they are expected, they were projected before they got on this little run to actually beat the 62 Mets in terms of record of ineptitude. So what does that tell you?
Not much. I mean, but this is a new creative way of losing. Hit the team you're playing.
They lost again. They hit the Pirates, and they lost because the run scored because of an error. I think.
Yeah, I said you got creative.
Technically, that did happen. That did happen to the Yankees, where there was, I think, in 1989 or something.
You have to think about it because it happened a long time ago.
Yeah, it's so rare, but this is just sad because you know what? Joey Votto deserves better. Jonathan India deserves better than the Castellini family owning this team. But
I file this under one thing, okay?
you really don't want to be compared to Marge Schott. That's right. Saddle up, everyone. Empty the bench. Takes a trip to the circus that is the Cincinnati Reds. They're inept. They're inept. They're the greatest show on earth. If the show is terrible, but still.
I mean, if you think about it, the Barnum and Bailey Circus announced that they were coming back without animals.
Why have animals when you have the Reds?
Just put the Reds in there. I mean, they'll bark for money at this point.
Ouch. Ow. Ow, I heard that. I felt that from here.
Just ask Joey Votto.
I
mean, Joey Votto. By the way, Ken Griffey Jr. is making more money than most of the people on that roster. When's the last time Ken Griffey Jr. played?
He's the second highest paid player on the payroll, and he's been retired for almost a decade now.
That I rest my case.
Ladies and gentlemen, baseball is amazing.
I'm going to steal this one from you, too.
Congratulations, dickweeds. You know what? Congratulations, dickweeds, to the owners, not the players. The players don't have any choice. The players are trapped there.
Well,
the fans don't have any choice either. You're kind of stuck being a Reds fan, and you're subjected to
that's
this.
not true. Just don't pay to go to the games.
But still, when you're a fan of the Reds, it hurts.
Yeah, but you know what? I say this every time. When a team is stupid and an owner is stupid, don't put money in their pocket.
I mean, we are speaking from a position of relative comfort here because, again, we're Yankees fans, and as of the time of this recording, they have the best record in baseball. So, and they haven't had a losing season in about 25 years. So,
I get that, but I don't know. It's one of those things where
I do have some sympathy though, because the Reds are a storied franchise. They're the oldest franchise in Major League Baseball, and they deserve better.
Yeah, when's the last time they were good? The Big Red Machine?
No, it was actually the year I was born. 1990 was the kid. That was the day they won. That was the year they won the World Series.
God, I wasn't even born yet. But all right, let's move on. I just thought that was funny. Now it's time to get back to the real abuse story here. Deshaun Watson meeting with NFL officials. Now, we don't know a whole heck of a lot yet, but the way I describe it, and it might be inappropriate, but I'm just going to do it anyway. This is how I describe the Deshaun Watson situation.
I mean, it is kind of like that from the perspective of the Browns are going to end up with egg on their face if he does end up getting suspended. But again, this is Roger Two-Check Goodell we're talking about here.
I mean, take your pick. Rob Manfred dealing with that situation, or Roger Goodell dealing with this one?
And Roger's going, hey, want to swap jobs?
And Deshaun Watson is taking his teams to the Bahamas to go train.
Ladies and gentlemen, yeah. Yeah, because the further are you away from those sexual assault allegations, you won't even talk about it. No allegations under the sea.
That's horrible. But, well, think about it. If he just goes far away enough and you can't find me if I'm hiding.
Meanwhile, he's buried himself in sand.
I mean, he's going to go Superman under the sand. But I don't know. We've beaten this dead horse a million times, and we already know we live rent-free in Deshaun Watson's head anyway.
Well, we can't actually. He blocked us, so we can't enter his head.
No, that means we just got into his head. I mean, what do you want me to...
Every time I think about that, it makes me laugh.
Well, because Deshaun Watson can't...
There had to have been a moment, like a period of 5 seconds, or at least 10 to 15 seconds, where he saw what we were putting out and saying, you know what? Fuck those guys. Fuck them in particular. Fuck me. Fuck you. Fuck Tom, too.
I mean, And I got blocked individually too. People forget that.
And you specifically.
I said
Not
me.
only did he block the show account, he blocked you too.
Yeah, because I live rent-free in Deshaun Watson's head. He can't handle it. He can't handle the spotlight. He can't handle winning in the NFL. He's never won anything.
I mean, and this was clearly a desperation move by the Browns because they don't want to admit that Baker Mayfield doesn't want to play for them anymore.
I guess it makes sense he plays for a team called the Browns because Deshaun Watson took a shit on the NFL anyway.
Well, taking the Browns to the Super Bowl has gone back to being a metaphor about taking a dump. So it was a metaphor, then it was literal, and now it's a metaphor again.
I don't know though. I mean, they're going to screw this one up. We already know they're going to screw this up.
Yeah, but there's really nothing more I can say about this case other than just all I can do is just say, oh, God.
Oh, I missed this. Some of the women who have been accused of Cleveland quarterbacks of sexual misconduct during massage therapy sessions while he's with the Houston Texans have interviewed on HBO's Real Sports with Brian Gumbel.
Which, again, nobody's disputing that he actually did these things. He did.
It says, per release from the network this week, quote, several of the women will, quote, detail the alleged abuse they suffered and share their reaction to Watson's record-breaking contract.
And the more people you have accusing you of doing something, the odds are improved that you actually did it.
You know what the worst part is? He's denying every single bit of this whole thing.
But no, the Browns just decided to, if I may steal a move from my co-host.
Hear no evil, see no evil, say no evil.
Speak no evil.
Speak no evil. Yeah, whatever. I mean, you know what? I feel like Deshaun Watson's going to end up with karma someday. Might not be now. But, I feel like he's going to get hurt at one point during this large contract, and he's never going to be able to play again.
I mean, karma, it is a bitch. It's just a matter of when.
I mean, was the Cleveland Browns the ones that did the promotion with the beer in the lock cases, which was one of the coolest things ever, by the way.
They unlock when they won a game.
Or a playoff game, I think.
Yeah, when they won a playoff game, they unlock and everybody can get a free one.
You know what they should do? I mean, if Deshaun Watson wins a game, they should unlock all the abuse cases that are going on there.
Ow.
Or every time he loses one, yeah, we're not going to go there. But, yeah.
All right, we're abandoning. All right, we're abandoning the before you dig yourself into a ditch.
It's okay. Deshaun Watson's already dug himself a ditch the size of China. Anyway, speaking of wanting out, Davante Adams, did he want out of Green Bay?
So, ladies and gentlemen, if we're talking about shooting yourself in the foot and the dick, we can also refer to the case of the Green Bay Packers, because I really can't think of a team that actively wants to dismantle itself, because it's pretty obvious that Davante Adams hated being there. I mean, it was pretty obvious. I mean, he had enough.
Well, him and Aaron Rodgers were the tandem duo.
Him and Aaron Rodgers were the tandem duo, but I guess, you know what? He just, at what point do you say, you know what, fuck this, I'm out of here?
I don't think the Raiders are a better situation, though. Do you?
I mean, he must think so.
I don't know. I don't think it's a better situation. You really think Derek Carr is better than Aaron Rodgers?
Really, the context of this story, let's explain what has happened here.
I mean, he was basically squeezed out because of Aaron Rodgers' contract.
Yes, and that's basically what the story was implying, that is because he didn't think that he was going to get paid what he felt like he deserved, and he just had enough of the drama.
Yeah, but at the same time, you're leaving a pretty decent situation with the Packers, regardless.
You're leaving a pretty decent situation, but your quarterback just spent an offseason in which he embarrassed himself by having all his piggies go to market.
I mean, it was all about the money. That's what I keep saying. He played
amateur epidemiologist, and he said the little piggy cried wee 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 all the way home.
RELAX.
Shut up.
Come on. Cut him a little bit of slack.
No. I'm not going to do that. Everybody's been cutting him slack.
Oh, I hate him too. But Aaron Rodgers, I mean, how many has he won? 1 Super Bowl title? 2?
Yep, one Super Bowl.
He can go join Brett Favre in paying back Mississippi for his unforgived loans. It had something to do with Green Bay quarterbacks that just doesn't trend very well in the media.
All right, let's get through these next couple of stories because we are a little bit over time.
Yeah, actually, this one, I think we're on the last story, actually, here. Yeah, all right. U.S. Soccer announces equal pay agreement with women's and men's teams. Now, we were starting to talk about this earlier with the WNBA and the NBA. Now, U.S. Soccer is way more valuable on both sides than...
It's way more valuable on both sides, but in terms of the talent disparity and the results thereof,
well, the women have won
the
more.
women are kicking the men's asses,
and the men are still making more.
Men are still making more, which is ridiculous.
Until this agreement came out.
Until this agreement, but again, that is a measure of justice because, again, the women, for those of you who with short memories or who've just forgotten, the men didn't even go to the World Cup a couple of years ago,
and they still made more. And they still made more.
And the women, you had pretty much a dream team of women's soccer: Carly Lloyd, Megan Rapinoe, and Hope Solo before she went crazy. And then,
even though I'm not the biggest fan of Megan Rapinoe and what she stands for, sometimes.
I mean, who cares? She can play soccer.
No, I'm not disparaging her as an athlete. She's an amazing athlete. I just can't.
What, it's the purple hair that bugs you?
No, not even that. I just can't stand it. Like, she's way overspoken. Like, way. Like,
I don't know why you do that.
What?
It's like, so what? She's outspoken. So what?
It's a little much.
People like it when Aaron Rodgers does it. They couldn't get enough of it.
Oh, I hate when Aaron Rodgers does it because he thinks he's funny. He's not funny.
But still, the point remaining that the women were far outperforming the men.
No,
but the fact the men were getting paid more.
And I'm not disparaging that. The women's soccer team is way better than the men's soccer team. And
the men's soccer team hasn't won anything important since Landon Donovan and Tim Howard.
And that's a long time ago.
That's almost a decade ago.
So don't get me wrong. Like, the professional women's leagues don't get the same amount of money and purpose and attention, except for the WNBA, which is now shown on ESPN and ABC at times. But the one argument, and I'm not saying it's a good one, is you have to look at the sponsors and you have to look at the investment in those leagues. And that's partially the difference.
It's partially the difference, but again, I really think that soccer really should be a lot more. Well, Major League Soccer should be promoting these stars a little bit more than they have.
I mean, I'll give you. Do you remember the incident?
It really seems like this country only realizes that we have a good soccer team when it's World Cup time or Summer Olympics.
Do you remember when, I think it was the three of us, when we talked about the whole Joseph Tsai thing with the Liberty?
Yeah.
And how he bought a private jet. A private is the owner.
And he got in trouble for it.
The owner who was willing to spend money. How often?
No, can't have that. It might promote favoritism with the other. See, this is the ungrateful plebes thing. You should be grateful with your pittance of a salary. You ungrateful plebe.
My point is, the owner was basically setting an example for the other owners to say, make your players comfortable, because if they play better, then the league does better. The advertisers do better. They spend more money. It's a drop-down effect.
Exactly. It's a trickle-down effect. Is what
yes.
It is.
Yes. It's a trickle-down effect. And, of course, Kathy, what's her name? Elgerly, or I can't even, or Eaglebert. Kathy Eaglebert, the genius commissioner of the WNBA who got involved.
No. Can't have that.
I'd love.
No.
I'm telling you right now, if we ever could get it.
You mean paying women what they're worth? heresy.
I swear, if we could ever get an interview with Kathy Eaglebird of the WNBA,
That would be my first question.
well, I have a ton of questions about the WNBA, including how they're treated.
Again, but this is a small measure. This is a measure of justice. It's a big thing.
Yeah, so why can't they do this in the WNBA then?
I don't know.
The argument from Eaglebert is that, well, we don't have the same advertisers and we don't have the same money. Which is horse crap. Well, actually, it's partially true, but in some aspects,
okay, so 50% horse crap.
You do know that who owns some of the WNBA teams?
A lot of the players that are the owners of NBA teams own WNBA.
Ding, 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 ding. Yes, you win a cookie. Yes, some of the NBA owners own the WNBA teams.
So therefore, ladies and gentlemen, wouldn't it behoove them to pump a little bit more money into your secondary revenue stream? You got to spend money to make money, don't you?
Yes, and you and I agree on this 100%, that money needs to be spent. When money is spent,
players are happy. When players are happy, they play better. When players play better, it's good for the league. And when it's good for the league makes money.
Well, just to give you a little more context of that issue with the private jets, I think it partially had to do with a sponsor. That because the rule was because they don't have a sponsor for flying, that's why he got in trouble for it.
Oh no, because you had to go through American Airlines or JetBlue or United or some shit.
First of all, and Joseph Desai is the owner of the Nets, so that's where part of my analogy came in. That some of the NBA owners own the teams. You're telling me you're not happy that the owner actually decided to take the money out of their pocket and invest it in the team?
You'll pay Kyrie Irving to not play basketball, but you won't let him pay for a private jet so your WNBA players can get around the country a little bit more in a little bit more ease.
Just so you know, the rules.
Are you fucking kidding me?
The rules for the WNBA is all teams have to fly commercial. And I was like, wait a minute, excuse me?
Yeah.
I mean, the NHL players in my opinion, the NHL is one of the weakest when it comes to money and revenue and how they spend it.
And they still don't have to fly commercial. Which of course, my response.
And that's my point, that Kathy Eaglebert is one of the worst commissioners in all of the WNBA. And I know I'm gonna get the women hate crowd coming after me for it. But what has she done?
Again, this is something that would help women, and you're not doing it.
Right, exactly my point. And first of all, Brittney Griner wouldn't have to go over to Russia. Now, let me clarify that.
No. I said that earlier. She wouldn't have had to go to Russia,
right?
If they were paying her more.
But let me clarify one thing, because people are going to say, "Well, she's the highest paid player in the WNBA." That's fine, but look at the lowest average NBA player,
the lowest paid NBA player, and the highest paid WNBA.
Actually, I can tell you right now. I'm going to look it up quickly, and then we'll end the show because we're a little over here. But I'm looking up the minimum salary because I want to know the answer to this. Oh my God, it's not even close. The NBA minimum salary starts at $925,000.
And it starts there.
The sick part is Brittany Griner makes $228,000, and that's the top of the league.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for proving my point earlier. So really, if you want equality, it's not and that's the lesson of this episode. If you want equality, it goes beyond lip service. It really does. Either put up or shut up.
And the same thing with the NFL, and the same thing with everything else. You got to treat everybody fairly. The women are being treated unfairly in the whole Deshaun Watson situation. Now, I get it. He wasn't legally charged. So what? You still have civil cases. You're going to treat those like shit too, right?
Exactly.
And I hate to say this, and you're going to agree with me, even though you and I don't agree with it. It seems like the man always wins.
Mm-hmm.
I hate to say it, but unfortunately, that's just the facts.
Ding, ding, ding. Circle gets the square.
And I hate to say it, women deserve better. Better.
They do. They really do.
$925,000 compared to $228,000.
Exactly.
Kathy Eaglebert, get a life.
With that brings this week's episode of Empty the Bench to a close. Make sure that you like and subscribe our YouTube to our YouTube page, because we've got a lot of new shows coming up over the summer, and you want to be sure that you're on track for that. You can also
Make sure you follow us on social media as well, at ETB Sports, across all our platforms, at ETB Network for the podcast network. Also, make sure you tune in for this announcement as well. Empty the Bench moves to Wednesdays beginning June 1st. It'll be the same time, 3 p.m. Eastern Time, noon Pacific. So please make sure we're not changing times. We're just changing days. We wanted to get off of Saturdays. We wanted to move to during the week. You get more of a listening audience during the week than you do on the weekend. It's just the way it is. And we're going to have shows taking our spot on that Saturday slot. Anyway, so there's a lot coming up. Make sure you follow us. We have a lot of interns and people starting with us. You're going to see a lot more content coming out of all of our accounts, including our sports shows.
You're going to see a lot more better looking content too.
Yeah, and I'll let you in on one more little secret. There's a certain social media platform that you and I get called Grandpa because we've never been on it before.
But no, they're dragging us kicking and screaming into the future.
Oh,
so that's why Empty the Bench is now officially on TikTok.
Well, it's not there yet, but we are going to be on TikTok. Next couple days or so, we are going to be on TikTok. So, yes, we are going into the millennial age, and we're going to be on TikTok.
Oh, God. So, ladies and gentlemen, this episode was sponsored by Knack Bags. Make sure you go to knackbags.com to get your beautiful, wonderful, and nigh indestructible Knack bag. And when you go to checkout, make sure you enter the offer code BENCH, that's BENCH, at checkout to get your free TSA-approved lock. It's a $15 value, but you get it for free.
Wait, what?
Exactly. Free. It's amazing, isn't it? It's mind-blowing. It's stupefying.
Wait, what did you put in the bag this week?
M&Ms.
Were they perfect afterwards? I knew it. See, we should put like a bowling ball or something in it next,
and then go bowling with it. But the
problem is you have to find a bowling alley that's still open.
And why would we need to do that? Because what kind of life is it?
It's a one bag life, everybody.
That's right. So for Nick Morgeson, I'm Nick Federa. See you next week, everybody. Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody. We'll see you next week for episode 136.